Have you ever been going through absolute hell? Maybe you're dealing with a massive crisis at work, your marriage is on the rocks, or you're completely burned out, and when someone looks at you and asks, "Hey, are you okay?" your automatic, knee-jerk response is, "I'm fine. I got it?" You probably think that makes you strong. You probably just think it means you're highly independent. But welcome back to the channel. Today, we need to talk about us, the generation born between 1965 and 1980, Generation X. Because that intense need to do everything by yourself, you're not just independent, you might actually be dealing with a trauma response. Partners, friends, and coworkers often complain that we are hard to read. They say we put up an invisible wall, that we keep everyone at a safe, calculated distance, and that getting us to open up emotionally is like trying to crack a bank vault. But what they don't understand is that this emotional distance isn't a personality flaw. It's a survival skill, and it's one we perfected back when we were about 8 or 9 years old. To really understand the Gen X mindset, we have to go back to the 70s and 80s. Divorce rates skyrocketed. Dual-income households went from being a rarity to becoming the absolute norm. And this meant that millions of us were unknowingly enlisted into a brand new social experiment. We were the Latchkey Kids. We got off the school bus, walked home alone, and pulled out a brass house key dangling on a shoestring around our necks. We unlocked the front door to a completely empty, quiet house. We made our own snacks, did our own homework, and handled our own boredom, anxiety, and problems until the streetlights came on or our exhausted parents got home from work. We grew up internalizing one single, absolute rule: you are on your own, and whatever you do not be a burden to the adults. And now, 30 or 40 years later, that childhood conditioning is quietly dictating how we manage every relationship in our lives. Our generation gets praised a lot for being incredibly independent. And it's true. You can drop a Gen Xer into almost any chaotic situation, and we'll figure it out. We are the ultimate problem solvers. But psychologists have a different term for what a lot of us have: hyperindependence. Hyperindependence isn't just about liking your alone time. It is the deep-seated belief that relying on someone else is fundamentally unsafe. For us, asking for help doesn't feel like teamwork, it feels like a profound weakness. Think about how you operate at work. Are you the type of person who would rather stay up until 2 a.m. finishing a project completely by yourself just because delegating it means trusting someone else not to drop the ball? We took the survival instincts of a 4th grader who had to fend off the neighborhood bully and fix a broken bike chain entirely alone, and we applied it to our adult lives. But where this really hits us hard is in our personal lives. Our emotional world is heavily guarded territory. When we were kids, if we scraped our knee, we washed it out with the garden hose, slapped a Band-Aid on it, and didn't cry, because nobody was there to make a fuss over it anyway. So today, when we experience real emotional pain, grief, anxiety, a financial crisis, we automatically trigger that lone wolf mode. We retreat to our caves. Even when our partners or friends can clearly see we are struggling, the moment they step too close and offer a hand, we reflexively push them away. We throw up a smoke screen, deflect with a sarcastic joke, and say, "Seriously, I'm fine, don't worry about it." Let me tell you about a guy I know. Let's call him Mark. Mark is 52. About a year ago, his company downsized, and he lost his corporate job. Instead of going home and leaning on his wife for support while they figured out a plan together, Mark hid it. For 3 straight weeks, he put on his button-down shirt every morning, left the house at 7:30 a.m., and sat in a Starbucks sending out resumes, terrified she would find out. When she finally figured it out, She wasn't angry about the money. She was absolutely devastated because she realized Mark didn't trust her enough to let her help him carry the weight. When Mark and I talked about it later, he said, "I just didn't want to burden her. I'm the guy who fixes things. I had to figure it out myself." Do you hear it? That's not a 52-year-old man talking. That is the voice of a 10-year-old boy sitting in a quiet, empty house, convincing himself that he has to carry the weight of the world on his own shoulders so he doesn't upset the adults. We convince ourselves that by not asking for help, we are being strong. We think we are protecting our loved ones from our baggage. But the brutal, unavoidable truth is this: by keeping everyone at arm's length, we are actually starving our relationships. Human connection is built entirely on vulnerability. People bond when they need each other. When you refuse to let your spouse, your kids, or your best friends help you when you're down, you are robbing them of the opportunity to love you. You are building a fortress so impenetrable that the bad stuff can't get in. But unfortunately, neither can the good stuff. And the heaviest toll of this invisible wall? It falls entirely on your own shoulders. There is a very specific type of exhaustion that hits Gen X in midlife. It's a profound, hollow loneliness. It's not because we don't have friends or families. We can be sitting at a crowded Thanksgiving dinner table, surrounded by people, and still feel entirely alone, because nobody at that table actually knows how tired we are. We are living like a smartphone running on 1% battery, with the screen brightness turned all the way up, running 10 apps at once, and refusing to be plugged into the wall because we don't want to inconvenience the outlet. If you are watching this and you feel that tightness in your chest because this hits a little too close to home, I want you to hear this loud and clear. Take a deep breath and really listen to me. That fierce independence you have, that resilience you built, it is a beautiful thing. It's the reason you survived your childhood. It's the grit that built your career and raised your own kids in a safer environment than you had. That armor you wear did its job perfectly. It kept you safe when nobody else was watching the door. But the war is over. You are not a kid waiting for your parents to come home anymore. You are an adult, and you are surrounded by people who genuinely love you and want to show up for you. Vulnerability is not a weakness. For a generation that was practically raised to hide everything and rub some dirt on it, asking for help is actually the most courageous thing you can possibly do. Having the guts to look at your partner and say, "I am really overwhelmed today and I need you," or looking at a friend and saying, "I'm not okay right now," that is where real freedom begins. That is how you finally put the heavy armor down. We have been carrying our own keys, unlocking our own doors, and fighting our own battles in the dark for 4 decades. It is okay to finally let someone else hold the door open for you. It's time to take the shoestring off your neck, put the brass key on the table, and let people in. The world isn't going to fall apart if you stop holding it up by yourself. In fact, it might just get a whole lot warmer. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. If you're a fellow Latchkey Kid, if you survived on MTV, garden hose water, and pure, unfiltered independence, drop a comment below. I want to hear your stories and how this has shown up in your life or your marriage. If this video resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe so we can keep having these honest conversations. Take care of yourselves this week. Give yourself some grace. And remember, you don't have to carry it all alone anymore. I'll see you in the next one.